I'm going to preface this by saying that I'm not really much of a manga guy. It's something that I've tried to expand a bit as of late. So take this review with a grain of salt. Why did I look at this? Well, I've, over the last couple of years, started looking more at this, much like North American comic books, for the simple reason that I now have some technological stuff which gives me a better opportunity to, shall we say, enjoy them as an art form. Accessibility matters, people. Yes, it does. As for this title, the series that I looked at before this are either done or nearly done or have many, sometimes many volumes in English. So I wanted to find something that I could sort of be on the ground floor with, so to speak. I follow a couple of manga bloggers on YouTube, and one, I think it was Manga Geekdom, hope I'm pronouncing that right, in their discussion of interesting titles for the month, mentioned this one, and I thought I'd download the sample and give it a try. And seeing as it's here, I enjoyed it enough to buy it. Let's do it already. This is a shoujo manga, complete in Japan at 9 volumes. We've only had the first one published in English by Viz. Essentially what we have is the female MC confesses to the male MC, who accepts her confession, at which point she goes in for a kiss, and he explains that he is from a political family. Both his father and grandfather were prime ministers, and he is being positioned, shall we say, to take up the family mantle someday, which means that he must live by a very strict set of rules, one of which is no physical contact, especially with females, before the age of 18. Now, I know what you're thinking here, and I'm thinking it too, but let's deal with genre. Essentially, we have comedy and romance. So, yes, this is being played up in a comedic fashion, somewhat over-the-top fashion, mostly because, well, if you think about this plot for any length of time, it's not going to end well. Like, when you especially find out more about the sort of restrictions he's lived under, that sort of thing, the idea that he would be able to lead anyone or even come out the other end as a functional adult is highly questionable. But this is a comedy. You either accept the premise or you don't. I managed to turn off my brain mostly about the premise. I don't know how that well it's going to go going forward, but it's made more tolerable because what we get rather quickly is that he does require this structure. For example, he wants to get a cell phone. He has to put in what essentially is a briefing document, a memo, describing why he needs it. It gets rejected. He reworks the language. He gets a cell phone, and then he's immediately texting his girlfriend constantly. He's spending all night on the phone with him. Those who've had a young romance can relate to this. No, you hang up. Now, he realizes that he needs structure, so he produces a contract. Insert 50 Shades of Grey joke here about how when the cell phone will be used. She's rather offended by this, naturally. But he manages to explain to her that, yes, he feels he needs some rules around this sort of thing, and eventually she works with him on that. I would have appreciated a little more pushback. Maybe she counter-proposals, that sort of thing. So there is an attempt to, well, at least on his part, to work a little bit, and we get a little more at the very end of the book, minor spoiler here, I guess, where he uses the tools that they're using on him against them, essentially. There's much talk about punishments if he violates one of the rules. That seems to be more security around him. I'm not quite sure how that is, a punishment, but again, this is the humor of it. There's comedic possibilities here. If this was a Western piece, I would assume that she would have essentially teased him until he couldn't take it no more. And then this turns into a big cat and mouse game of them trying to evade the control of his parents. I don't think we're going to go there, mostly because of how the first book is laid out and how he does seem to require the structure and accepts the rules. He just is also frustrated by not being able to do anything with her. There were a couple things in it that did make me outright laugh. I'm probably happy this is going to be 9 volumes and not 29. So it does show that we're going to get to a point. What originally is supposedly a couple of years before physical contact, he researches it and finds out it's only 6 months. So I'm assuming that those volumes will cover the 6 months. Usually when I review something, it's, did I like it? Yes, I did like this. The characters are interesting, and the premise is odd enough, and they're playing enough with it that I'm interested to see where it goes forward. As far as my usual, when will I reread this, I don't know yet, simply because this is less than 10% of the story. I need more before I need to be able to judge that. That being said, I did throw the second book into the wish list, and I will be picking it up as soon as it's released, which is currently listed for September in English. I'm watching other manga YouTubers. It's obvious that those release dates sometimes don't hold, so we'll see. That being said, I look forward to learning more about the couple